Hey guys, today I'd like to talk about college, going to college, starting college, which you can start at any age. You can start at any age you want to, and it can be any age as long as you have a GED, you can go to college, and you can learn something that you really like to do. So you can learn something that you're interested in. And so one of the things is that if I was to give anybody any advice on starting college, is to make sure that your life on the outside of college is not going to interfere with with college life, because it will and can. So what you want to do before you start college is make sure that you've got your life, your outside life that you live on the outside of college before you go to college. Whenever the life that you're living when you're not in college, at school, attending class and studying before and after class, the life that you live there and the life you live other than that, which is the outside life, has got to be as straight as you've got to make that as good as you can get it before you start college. Because if you don't, it's going to interfere somehow. And another thing is that when you start college and you go up there and you're signing up and you're speaking to somebody at the desk, you're speaking to a receptionist or somebody at the desk, financial aid or an administrator or any of those people, anybody, or even the course that you want to take. Let's say that you want to go be a nurse, right? Or you want to go do something else. And if you're taking any of that, when you go sign up for the classes that you want to take, only take like 1 or 2 classes to start out with. Don't take 5 or 6, 7 classes. Don't let the person that's sitting behind the desk that you're speaking to and that's sitting in front of you, don't let that person sign you up for all these classes, for 7 classes, when you have the choice to only take 2 classes if you want to, or 1 class, or 3 classes. You can take however many you want, 4. You don't have to take all the classes and that's what they'll try to do. Because when you go in there and you sit down and then they're talking to you about what you want to do, and you're like, oh, this is what I want to do for a living, whatever it is, could be a nurse or whatever. And they say, this is what I want to do for a living. They're going to try to sign you up immediately, because the number one thing is that they don't know you. They do not know you from anybody. So what they do is they'll sign you up. Their job is to sign people up for classes, and then they'll never see you again. They'll probably never see you again. They'll sign you up for classes. They might see you again. Who knows? So they'll sign you up for class real quick. They'll sign you up for all these classes at once. And then they go home at the end of the day, clock out, go home, and meet with their family. They have a family, they have kids, or whatever, a husband and wife, and then they drink a little coffee, eat their dinner, and then that's what they do. Your thing is that, and then they won't even remember you after that. So you might as well take advantage of that situation and tell them, I only want to take 2 classes. That's all I'm able to do. If they say why, just tell them that's all I'm able to do. There's no reason why. Just tell them that's what I want to do. And if they can't help you with that, then find somebody else that can help you with that. What you're trying to do here, okay, when you take the 2 classes or 3 classes that you do when you very first start out in college, is so you don't overwhelm yourself and become overwhelmed with the classes that you take. You don't want to take too many. And so if you'll take 2 classes at first, starting out, then you get a pretty good idea of how hard it actually is to be in college. And to try to learn this and try to do all this at once. And then you have an outside life that's going to interfere somehow with your college life. So then what you're doing is let's say you don't have a schedule made out yet of what you're going to do with your classes, how you're going to study, what you're going to do your homework, and all this stuff. So so if you take 2 classes right away and you go home your very first day and you have homework, which more likely you will, because every college class that I've been in, most of them, the very first day of class, you're assigned homework. So you go home and then you stay on the premise of the school. You go to the library or whatever, you can do your homework. And this is what one of the women that work at my college, she told me. She told me if you study if you review before class and then you study after class for the same subject that you're doing. So let's say that I have an English class, or it could be any class. I'm just going to say English because that's what I'm saying. So let's say you have an English class, and then before you go inside of the English class, you review for an hour, and then after you get out of English class, you review the English class material again. And then you have to have a certain time for whenever you do homework. A scheduled time. Schedule a time for when you're going to do your homework and do it. Do it at that time, don't do it any other time. And that goes just for one class. Every other class is going to be the same. So you schedule it the same way, pretty much. And then, so that's where I'm saying that your outside life could interfere with your school life, your college life, is because you could take 7 classes and then all of a sudden go home the very first day and have homework for like 3 classes, and then you don't know what to do. You're like, what do I do? Where do I start first? Where do I start? That's why having a schedule made out before you start class, very first day you start class, having a schedule made for when you're going to study, when you're going to do certain specific stuff for certain specific classes made up. You want to have that schedule made up and stick to it. No matter what your family does, you can have a kid in the next room that's bothering you or something that tries to come in there while you're studying, and if that bothers you, tell them to go away or whatever. And then the same thing with, like, let's say that your mother or your girlfriend or something, just before you start college, about a month before you start college, start ignoring everybody around you and start putting them off, ignoring them, and making time for yourself, and then after that month passes, then people won't be as used to you being around as they were before. Because right when you start class, the people that are around you are still going to want to be around you with the same amount of time, because they're not used to not being around you. So let's say you come home from school, very first day, you have all this stuff, you have your family over here, your family's going to want to do the same thing they did the day before, which would probably be hooking up like in a group or whatever, and then joking around or something like that. Joking around, playing around, doing something, who knows, watching TV. They're going to want to do that same exact thing, but then you've got to study. You've got to study and you've got to do all these classes. It's not the same. You've got to cut them off. You got to cut off your whole family, your whole your friends or whatever you have going on. You have to cut them all off. Otherwise, that's going to interfere with your studying time and with you learning for college. And if anything, they might who knows, just do that. Just cut them all off. Schedule a time for you to spend time with them and put it on your schedule, on your college studying schedule, on your college schedule that you made yourself. You have got to make your own schedule for college. They're going to give you a schedule when you start college, But that's just for your attendance. That's just for you to attend class. That's the only schedule that is. They don't give you a schedule for when you're going to study, when you're going to do homework, when you're going to do all this. You've got to make a schedule that you make handmade yourself. That's going to tell you when you're going to study, when you're going to do homework, and when you got to make your own schedule beside that schedule. Make your own separate schedule. And when you get that schedule made, stick to it. Don't let anything interfere with it, you know. And